Breaking news now. Communication between Russia and North Korea. Kim Jong-un, leader of North Korea, spent the better part of last week in Russia, touring the country's eastern cities and meeting with President Vladimir Putin and other high-ranking officials. Despite the visit's broad focus on bilateral relations between the two countries, a strong military undertone suggested an arms agreement may be in the works. Putin was quick to dispel concerns that Kim and him had discussed sending North Korean volunteers to fight in Ukraine, but what Moscow really wants are arms. Moscow has been trying to import new capabilities and supplement its existing inventories throughout its war with Ukraine. Iran has provided drones, while China continues to be a major supplier of the microelectronics used in Russian systems. Russia obviously wants to get their hands on North Korea's arsenal of heavy weapons and ammunition. The North Korean army has a large stockpile of artillery guns that use the same caliber bullets as the Russian military. Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, who visited North Korea in July, hailed Pyongyang's armed forces as the most powerful in the world. Russia has increased its defense spending to support its armed forces, but despite its international reach, the country has had to rely primarily on domestic industry to meet wartime demand. Russia's military-industrial complex has expanded its capacity to manufacture both artillery systems and ammunition, potentially reaching annual output levels of 2 million shells. The annual output of main battle tanks is most likely 200 units. Investing more than a third of government spending on the military has paid off in terms of defense manufacturing, but at the expense of other public priorities. Russia needs time to stockpile weapons it imports from North Korea before winter and the likely resumption of its own offensive operations against Ukraine in the future, so timing is crucial. U.S. Chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff General Mark Milley recently estimated in an interview that offensive operations in Ukraine will only be possible for another 4 to 6 weeks due to weather conditions. Russia's strategy at this point in the war is to outlast Western support for Ukraine, whether or not the weather forecast pans out. The Kremlin realizes that it cannot keep giving Kyiv tens of billions of dollars in military equipment, economic aid, and humanitarian aid indefinitely. Ukraine's counteroffensive has regained some ground but stopped short of any decisive victories, and the Russian leadership is likely aware of the quiet grumbling taking place in Western circles about the arduous pace of this effort. The Ukrainian Foreign Minister, Dmytro Kuleba, told critics to shut up late last month, and the situation has since gone public. Pyongyang likely sees some promising military goods for North Korea in the products produced by Russia's industry. Since the early 2000s, international sanctions have been in place against North Korea because of its nuclear weapons program. Russia never violate anything, and in this case, we are not going to violate anything either, Putin said after Kim's visit, denying that Russia would violate international law by signing arms contracts with the sanctioned country. But even so, Kim received a tour of the Komsomolska on Amur aircraft plant, manufacturer of the Su-27 family of combat jets as well as the Su-57, Russia's stealth fighter. At a base near Vladivostok, he got a close look at a number of Russian bomber aircraft as well as the Kinzhal hypersonic missile. There was an emphasis on military platforms and related defense technology, but Russia also showcased its space technology and civilian airliners. North Korean media reported after Kim met with Shoigu in Vladivostok. According to the statement, Kim Jong-un and Sergei Shoigu exchanged views on regional and international military and political circumstances and exchanged constructive views on issues related to continued strengthening of tactical and strategic interaction, cooperation, and mutual exchanges between the armed forces of the two countries, as well as in the field of defense and security. Did they make a deal? Nothing was announced, and even if an agreement had been reached, it would not have been publicized. But Kim offered Pyongyang's full and unconditional support for Russia's war effort, including, perhaps, some of his arsenal's coveted artillery shells. At a July 2023 meeting in Pyongyang, DPRK Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un, meets with Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu, R.